What's up? How you
Hey,
doing, Cam?
I am doing marvelous. How about you,
I'm
Ralph?
doing killer.
Stick to your plan. Trust no one.
Starring Michael Fassbender, who most recently, well, he starred in a Taika Waititi movie recently, Next Goal Wins, which I haven't seen. It played at TIFF. But yeah, but he also before that he didn't really do much for a while. You noted he was in Dark Phoenix. I think that was the last movie.
Yeah, he may have been on sabbatical. I think he's got little kids. Maybe that's why. But yeah, like The Killer is his most recent movie since Dark Phoenix, which was
And
terrible.
also one of his more recent movies was The Snowman.
Right, I think that was before, but yeah, I guess that's one of his more recent ones.
Harry Ho.
Harry Hill.
Oh,
Yeah.
can I keep this?
No.
Can I keep this?
Yeah, sure.
Can I keep this? No. Can I keep this? Yeah, sure.
This is like a kind of comeback for him. I don't know what his agent is doing. It's like he picks his movies by dartboard.
Well, he's been in some good ones, but
Fincher, was known for Alien Cubed and
among others,
he's
that was
got-
his first movie. I think this is what is this? His like 12th feature or something like that. I don't know the exact number.
Yeah, but all of his movies are like really great. I was thinking, I love Scorsese and Nolan and Tarantino, obviously, but Fincher's definitely up there for me as one of my favorite filmmakers, favorite directors. He's just so good. Like all of his movies, he basically knocks it out of the park every time. Seven, Gone Girl, Panic Room, like
Fight Club.
all of his movies I really like. Fight Club, yeah.
Social
All
Network.
his movies are
yeah.
even Benjamin Button I like, and I think I might like this better than Mank, which is
Yeah,
I
which
gotta
we
adjust
also
my
enjoyed.
rating. I think yeah I also enjoyed, but I think I enjoyed this more just because he really is good at thrillers, psychological thrillers, and yeah, this is a really good one. Like it follows this paid assassin who's just like a total sociopath, and you hear his voiceover narration, and that's like part of the film too. Is it's very funny.
It is
It's
funny.
like, he goes into like a storage container with all his like passports and guns and like cleaning supplies for dead bodies and acid, whatever. And he's like, I wonder the episode of Storage Wars when the lease runs out on this place. He has lots of funny narration.
Yeah, it adds some personality to the film. Yeah, especially since like Fassbender plays him very well. We don't know the character's name, and obviously he's a murderer. He's an assassin, but yeah, it's funny they give him a lot of personality and
you realize pretty quickly, like, yeah, none of these names are real. He has no identity. He's just like, yeah, because you can't really, when you're an assassin, all of his interactions with people are, clerks and people work at registers and stuff. Like people work at airports. Like he has no like interactions with any like real people. It's,
besides
it's like an interesting dynamic.
Well,
aside from
he has a
that
girlfriend
character or whatever. Who that's like kind of the story. Let's just say spoilers. I'm gonna say
yeah.
that. So,
It's kind of hard
okay.
to talk about without spoiling it.
Yeah, you should definitely see the movie. I don't think I didn't know a lot about it going into it, so I
Me
think it's
neither.
better to his first job, which is the opening of the movie, which I thought was great. It's almost like its own little short film, like the opener.
Yeah, it's like
And
15,
then-
20 minutes.
Yeah, and then he messes up. He doesn't kill the target, kills an innocent woman instead, and and the
Dominatrix.
people. But then the people try to get back at the killer, the main character, but they get his girlfriend instead at their hideout.
But yeah,
So-
they hurt her. They don't kill her. But yeah, they were looking for him.
Charles Parnell, yeah.
He's in the office, like, yeah, and he gets he's the guy who hired the Fassbender.
Yeah,
character
he
in the
kills
first
him,
place.
kills that guy brutally.
Mhm.
Like he kills him because he like I guess he fucked him over the most. He like gave out his name or whatever because he's the guy who hired him.
Yeah, it was almost kind of like an insurance policy. The fact that he botched the hit, and like they asked the client if they want the guy like taken care of. Just like to cover close
Right.
off loose ends.
He's kind of like the middleman, like, and then he gave the client is kind of who Michael Fassbender's character, or at least where he lives, so they could, kill his girlfriend or whatever. So he's trying to get revenge on them, but that, like, the killings get like fucking brutal. Like, but then it's some like the fight in with the third chapter of the movie, the Brute, the guy who plays Sauron there.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that was a great fight scene, but it's like fucking brutal, and it really like reflects like the characters, like, like this is a little more of a revenge mission, and he's a little more passionate about this kind of these hits than usual, which I thought was like an interesting dynamic. Like, you really get in the character's head, and they really like challenge this character and his motto, because he has this motto he lives by, but then
like a mantra. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But then, like, they constantly, like, okay, you have no empathy, but then you present the character with the situation where there's like this woman, and she's begging for her life, basically, or at least begging for her to be killed in a way where you leave her body so her kids can get her life insurance policy. And so there's just like it's really fucked up, but it's interesting, to watch. Yeah, I thought the movie was great. Like, and I think I mentioned that fight scene. The fight scene's fucking awesome. That's a great fight. Brutal. Like, I don't know how long they spent on that fight scene, but it seemed like meticulous. Like, I'm sure they spent days like planning that out and whatever, because it's just awesome.
Yeah, it's very exciting, and it's interesting. Yeah, unique in the sense, it's set like in darkness, basically, because the killer breaks into the guy's home thinking, he's not expecting him. Of course he is, and he's a big dude throwing him around, and like reminds me of, and I'm not sure if everybody's seen The Sopranos, but like, I won't give it away in case, but there's like a famous sequence that takes place in another household setting, and like, objects from like the kitchen and, around the house get involved, like a cheese grater. Like, it's just funny, like how like ordinary objects get, included.
Yeah.
People are fighting to the death.
Lots of good performances too. And just, this David Fincher is very like meticulous with his shots and everything. I'm sure they spent like days, just like Michael Fassbender, you're going, you're walking around like pretending to be a German tourist. Like, that's it. You go to like a McDonald's, like just like shots like that. But they really seemed like you really believe his character. You really believe that this guy is like a paid assassin, and this is like a real situation. And even though it's definitely far-fetched, but in the movie they make it plausible enough. It's almost its own like little reality. So I thought that was fine. It's believable enough to me. And the score from Trent Reznor, Atticus Ross was great. But love the music for it. I always love their music whenever they work with Fincher. It's great. The Smiths songs were fun. Again, that's just like another funny part of the movie is the killer character like really likes the Smiths and always listens to the Smiths, and all the songs are about like death. Like, if a double-decker bus crashes into us, like this is, lyrics like, what's the other one? All their song, Hands in a Glove or whatever. Hands in Glove.
Well, maybe I'm reaching a bit, but I was wondering, because when the botched shit happens, he's listening to the song "How Soon Is Now." It's almost like the title refers to like when's the right opportunity to shoot. Maybe I'm over reading into that too much, but I thought that was
no, I don't think so.
Yeah, neat choice.
That makes sense.
Yeah, it's funny. There are quite a few Smith songs, so I don't think Robert Smith from The Cure, I don't think he'd like that. Yeah, because those bands are rivals. Yeah, I just thought that was funny. And it definitely has a very, very like right. It is, unusual in that, like, the main character is literally a killer, and not that
unsympathetic.
But like you do get invested because like you said, he is funny, and hearing his inner monologue, getting attuned to his mindset, and it's just cool, obviously we liked Mank, but like that one was a little more of a departure for Fincher. This one, obviously it stands on its own, but it definitely has similarities to his other thrillers like Zodiac and The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo and Gone Girl, that you could definitely see some, similar traits there.
Yeah, it's a little more accessible, would you say?
Yeah, even though
something like
it is
Mank.
called The Killer, not to be confused with the
Yeah.
John Woo movie, which is another good
Yeah.
one.
Which I haven't seen, but yeah, that sounds good.
It's not a remake;
Yeah.
it just happens to have the same title. And
Yeah, but yeah, Mank was like black and white, and it's about Citizen Kane, which like not everyone has seen, so it's
a lot of people,
like, they
yeah,
have no
but it's
point
more
of-
like inside baseball kind
There's
of.
no point of
movie.
reference. Yeah, there's no point of reference for some people. I mean, it's still a good movie, even if you
Yeah.
haven't seen Citizen Kane. But yeah, but this is just like it's it's a Fincher movie for sure. It's psychological thriller, which is what he's best at, and it's a damn good one. I thought it was great. Yeah, he really knows like what he's doing at this point.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so-
And
A lot of really smart choices, throughout the movie with sound and music and acting and writing. It's just like all comes together really well. It's really like suspenseful and well done.
yeah, cool cinematographer. I believe the DP went to Emerson. It's Eric Messerschmidt. Yeah. Yeah, and it was edited by Kirk Baxter. I noticed like it's a common trait in Fincher movies, like especially this one, like the opening credits, like the names flash by very quickly. I thought that was it's like really, it's almost like it's sped up.
Yeah,
Like
it's like 40. Yeah, it's like 48 seconds long, like the opening credits. Like I'm not even kidding.
Yeah. Like cut to
It's
the
like
chase.
almost exactly. Yeah, really. This is like well, I told you that like the opening credits to Gone Girl, they were originally set like to faster music, but then they cut that music out and they've replaced it with more like mellow, like synth, like and but they kept the credits the same editing, so it was just like quick cut credits with just like more mellow out song. I don't know what's more somber, I guess.
Yeah.
It's but and yeah, I like their music and their movies, the Fincher movies. There's not much more to say. I don't,
Yeah,
unless
it's
you
worth
have something else to say.
yeah, Ralph and I separately both saw this in the theater, but yeah, like even like just watching it at home on Netflix, yeah, if you get like, nice TV, I think it'll play pretty well. And
I got a nice TV, so I watched it here at my home, and it was great. There's things I noticed the second time that I didn't notice the first time. Like Tilda Swinton's character, he shoots her, but she has a knife in her hand. I didn't notice that the first time. Someone pointed it out to me. I'm like, oh yeah, I didn't notice that. There's lots of things the second time that I'm like, oh yeah, that's cool.
yeah, certain a lot of things with certain information or bits of information are communicated very quickly. So yeah, you might it's definitely possible you miss certain things the first time.
Yeah, for sure.
And
Okay.
I pointed out it's a good cast. One of the hotel clerks is Cosmo from the Fairly Odd Parents. I thought that was fun.
It's the guy who recognizes or sees his bruises or whatever.
Yeah.
It's after the fight with the guy.
Right.
Yeah, it's that guy. But yeah, that was funny.
And I think like you, it's definitely one of my favorites of the year. It'd be interesting to see where it ranks. But yeah, it'll probably make my top 10 of the year, I would think.
Yeah, I thought it was great. It's one of my top of the year. Even for Fincher, I thought it was great. Yeah, so what would you give it as a rating?
Maybe an 8. It might get bumped to a 9. We'll see. Yeah, I'll definitely watch it again. But yeah, I'm somewhere in it's like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like right where you are. It's like a high 8, close to a 9.
I think the AV Club gave it like a C+. Like I have seen some more like tepid reviews. I don't know. We really enjoyed it. Yeah. Maybe they didn't think it was like particularly subtle, but like I don't think that's like what the movie's like meant to be.
Yeah.
It's an exciting thriller.
It's an exciting thriller. It's almost a dark comedy in a way with just his narration. Yeah, because it is very funny.
Neat how you point out he eats McDonald's. He gets an Egg McMuffin, but he just ditches the bun. I haven't had one of those in so long. Yeah, it's just funny. Like there's I can't remember the exact wording, but yeah, he has like a little there's a little excerpt where he describes McDonald's or
he's like, get your 10 grams of protein for the day. It's a good way to
and he kind of like
basically
I don't know
along
if it's
with he gets it because it's anonymous too. He's like along with the other billion people who eat it.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah, he thinks he's just like, one person in the crowd, and the fact that he's killing people doesn't really bother him too much, just because there's already so many people in the world anyway. Like he feels like he's barely making a dent.
That's how he describes it exactly. Yeah. It's like Loki with the McDonald's tie-in.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I still haven't watched Loki.
Yeah. I said in my review with the Loki thing of like the McDonald's tie-in for Loki, it's better than the Man of Steel tie-in with IHOP.
Well, there was more than one. There was like a 7-Eleven one. I didn't even remember that. And
yeah, that's right.
There was one more too. It might have been IHOP.
Turkish Airlines.
Yeah, well, that was the other one. Yeah, I can't remember. But yeah, like
Airlines.
some pretty gratuitous market. Spy Kids also had a McDonald's tie-in. I remember that.
Yeah, a lot of movies do.
Yeah.
I got one time I went to McDonald's, they said on the bag, like all the different tie-ins it had. Like all the different movies, you know.
Mm-hmm. It wasn't
Loki season. Loki season 2 was on there, but yeah.
Yeah, so I was just gonna. I don't. It wasn't a tie-in, directly in the movie, but Incredibles. I still have my Mr. Incredible Happy Meal toy. It's pretty sturdy for like a little, toy you get like in a fast food bag. Yeah, like I still have it.
Stick to the plan. Empathy, weakness, vulnerability. This is what it takes if you want to succeed. Simple.
Now we're on to The Marvels, which is the new film from the director of
the Candyman reboot, whatever you call it.
That's right.
Which I don't think you saw. I did.
No, I've never seen it.
I thought it was decent.
Okay.
Yeah, solid horror movie.
Yeah, and it follows Miss Marvel, Captain Rambo, as they do something.
From okay. I thought you were like, I thought you were referring to like the other proper, like the show and the movie. But yeah, those are literally the names.
The characters, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Captain Rambo doesn't have a show, yeah.
Well, she was on WandaVision, wasn't she?
Yeah, she's on WandaVision. She's one of the characters in that, yeah. And Miss Marvel has a show, and Captain Marvel had a movie before.
Right.
And which is not one of the most acclaimed movies, but that's not. It was
there. Yeah. Well, yeah, it was. I thought it was okay, but yeah, it was pretty successful. The first one, like financially.
Yeah. Came out around the time of Wonder Woman, when that was like.
Well, a year or two later. Yeah, it was like right before. It was kind of like in the lead up to Endgame, so I'm sure that helped too.
There's a big push for like women superheroes movies starring women that are superhero related, like Wonder Woman, Captain Marvel,
Birds of Prey
at that time.
Yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And yeah, so they all come together in this movie. I was gonna mention Miss Marvel too. Like I've seen that show with her. I think it's cute. It's not great, but I enjoy it more than this movie. For sure. It's just like it's kind of like why I like Spider-Man. It's like a normal kid and she's like in high school. She deals with like the challenges of adolescence or whatever, and then she becomes a superhero. It's great. But in this movie, it's like 5 minutes of that, and then she goes to fucking outer space, and it's like, okay, well, there's none of that when she's in outer space. To be fair, that happened with the Spider-Man too. They put him in outer space and Avengers.
Yeah, that's true. But that was,
but the dynamic with those characters, the dynamic with those characters was just more interesting. Ultimately, like Spider-Man's interesting with Iron Man and Doctor Strange. He's not Miss Marvel's not interesting with Captain Marvel. Well, really, it was like Captain Rambo and Captain Marvel were just like kind of a blank slates to me, and then Miss Marvel was kind of annoying.
I don't know if I found her annoying necessarily. I think that maybe like the biggest issue was like she like kind of like fangirls over Captain Marvel, but it kind of just like stays in that lane. I don't think there's like much of an arc with their like dynamic. It's not like Captain Marvel's like, you're a superhero in your own right. I mean, maybe it just didn't come across to me that way. And I like all three of those actors, but yeah, it just feels like like their dynamic is kind of like being suffocated a bit by everything else, like the story, and also the fact, like you said, like it ties in so it's a sequel to the movie Captain Marvel. It follows up the show Miss Marvel, and the Captain Rambo characters from WandaVision. I guess it
said, Secret Invasion,
which I don't really know much about, but yeah, like it just kind of feels like an encumbrance a bit when this one movie's like following up to so many other properties within the MCU.
Yeah, Marvel really effed themselves over with all these like series they have, because people can't keep up with all this content. And it's like, you watch this movie, it's like, why does Nick Fury have a space elevator? Oh, I guess it's in Secret Invasion that happened. And
Yeah,
you
that
can't keep
never
up.
occurred to me.
No,
Yeah.
you can't keep up with this stuff. Like, who's Miss Marvel? I don't expect everyone to have seen Miss Marvel. And it's just right. It's too much stuff to keep up with. Like, okay, WandaVision, that was a few episodes, and Loki was pretty good. I enjoyed Loki. But yeah, it's getting too much now with this like amount of content. And next year they're scaling back a bit. They're just doing the Deadpool 3, which I think is a good move. They shouldn't do any more series, or I think they have Echo coming up and like Daredevil, but
Yeah. Well,
you know, which is
I don't know.
fine.
I don't know about Daredevil though, because a friend of mine said that I think that show got shit canned. I guess. I don't.
Oh, really?
I heard that through the grapevine. I don't know if that's confirmed, but I'm not too confident in Daredevil showing up.
Yeah, that's fine. Well, if you say so. I mean, I trust your word on it.
Yeah, you're right. It is a lot. No, I'm not even saying like you obviously you've seen more of those shows than I have. I'm not even saying like they're bad necessarily. It's just
No,
like it
they're
just
not bad.
kind of feels like homework. Yeah, you have to watch like dozens of hours or however much like just to prepare for one movie. Like yeah,
Is there going to be an Avengers like? And at the end of the because I think that got shit canned too. Like the director left.
yeah.
Who's going to do that? Yeah,
Credit.
the guy who did Shang-Chi.
Right, and
Yeah.
Jonathan Majors is in hot water. I don't know if they're going to keep
Yeah,
him
they're not-
around. It's kind of
no.
up in the
Yeah,
air.
they were setting some up. They were setting him up in Loki to be like the new big
In
villain
Quantumania, yeah.
Yeah, and Loki too. Like,
Right,
those
yeah,
two
yeah.
movies. They were setting up for Avengers ultimately, but I think they're just gonna scrap that plan and get another villain, or just not even do an Avengers movie. But there was something in this movie. They're setting up a young Avengers, so it's gonna be like Miss Marvel and Kate Bishop, who's Haley Steinfeld, and
Right.
maybe Harry Styles will show up as Thanos' fucking son or whatever the fuck
guy
he
from
was,
Don't Worry,
Thanos'
Darling.
brother.
Yeah, I get that Haley Steinfeld, like her character's in Hawkeye, another show they expect you to be familiar with, but why was the movie about her? She only showed up at the very end. You know what I mean? It's just kind of an odd
Yeah.
note to end a movie on. It works more so like in a TV show, like that's fine because you're telling so many different stories. But yeah, that kind of thing bugs me. It just feels like kind of
That's what it feels like
fan
now.
service-y, I guess.
It feels like a big TV show. Where it's just like, here's
Right.
another episode. There's no like conclusiveness to anything. There's no stakes because nothing matters. Because it's like, everything's gonna carry over into the next episode. No one dies. It's like the famous saying, "No one's ever really gone."
Well, yeah, speaking of, it'd be like Star Wars, like Return of the Jedi, like if it ended on Admiral Akbar, like, okay, like it's, yeah, and, yeah, I guess, right, you said, like, they're trying to set up, like, a younger group of Avengers. There's supposed to be some other movie, right, with, like, Florence Pugh's character, and, like, it's almost like another subgroup of Avengers or similar, like,
Yeah, but this is a conversation a lot of people have had. I'm sure they're having it at Marvel. Like, what the fuck do we do? Because it seems like they're just scrambling at this point. They're still much better off than DC. Let me make that clear. Their movies are still better than like Black Adam and whatever the shit, like The Flash. But The thing is now, I think they're gonna have to steer away from the TV series. I think that's probably what they're gonna do and end up doing. Because the series were around like during COVID, everyone was at home, right? People needed stuff to watch, so that kind of shifted things in that direction for a bit. That's when like all the services came up too, like Disney Plus. Like Disney Plus came out during that era of,
right. I think like
pandemic.
a couple months before. Was which one was the first like Disney Plus Marvel show? Was it WandaVision or was it something else before?
It was WandaVision.
Yeah, because
and which was good. That was the first one and the best.
I've
one.
only seen like one episode.
And
I'm sure
Loki.
it's good. Yeah,
Loki's one of the earliest too, and that one was very good.
And how many of those shows are there now? Like
There's quite a
6 to
few.
7.
Secret Invasion,
Miss
Miss Marvel,
Marvel,
She-Hulk.
All right, She-Hulk. Yeah, I forgot. Yeah, and,
Captain America, Falcon, whatever the fuck, Falcon Winter Soldier,
Hawkeye, or maybe there's like there's gonna be it's just it's a lot.
Yeah,
to tie
Echo.
in.
Yeah, I've seen almost all of them, not all of them, but
because I think before
Loki and WandaVision are the best.
Yeah, and I was reading. I follow the TV critic Alan Sepinwall. I saw about like before like Disney Plus. Obviously, there were Marvel shows like Luke Cage and Jessica Jones, but it was kind of like a one. It was only the movies. Sorry, the shows like acknowledged the movies, but like they didn't. The movies didn't really reciprocate. It seemed like before, but now everything's tied in.
Mm-hmm.
Because it wasn't there was like the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., because like they brought back like the Agent Coulson character, but in the movies he stayed dead pretty much, I think, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Now there's much more overlap and...
Which is good. They just overdid it. Now it's like too much or you can't keep track of it. If it was just like one or two shows, I feel like that would have been fine.
That was
I feel like they're going to steer away from that now, and we're going to see an end of that kind of era of like Marvel series. I think they might still be around, but I don't think they'll be as frequent.
Oh, they'll definitely be around. I think the problem is like it's like so ubiquitous now. It just feels less special, and that was kind of obviously it's not Marvel, but it is Disney. Like a problem I had with the Solo. That that there was a scene towards the end where Darth Maul shows up, and I'm like, didn't he die? Like, he came back in the Clone Wars show. Well, how am I supposed to know that? It's like you gotta do like so much like extracurricular viewing to follow. Yeah, that's not really good storytelling in my opinion.
Yeah, I like rewatched that scene in Phantom Menace. So, like he looked pretty effed up, Darth Maul. Like he got cut in half and fell down a giant like shaft. How did he survive that?
That was his own fault. Like Obi-Wan was dangling there. He was like fucking around, like with his lights. He could have just like lifted him up with the Force and then just like dropped him. When you think about it, there's like an animated sequence she draws. Doodles like her and Captain Marvel hanging out, like stuff like that. I think worked fine. I do like the leads. Yeah, Brie Larson and Tiana Paris, who I knew from like Mad Men, and Iman Vellani. I think the biggest problem is like the plot. It's just a lot of kind of blah 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 about different
the story
races of aliens,
the Skrulls and whatever, and it's boring. Like I you can't even pay attention to it. Like it's so uninteresting.
Yeah,
something to do with the Skrulls and. I don't know. Who cares?
Yeah, it gets a little muddled, and the villain was kind of dull. It's Zoe Asher. She's she's with Loki in real life. They're a couple, the villain couple.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I'm trying to think what else to say. It's notable. It's the shortest MCU movie. It's only an hour and 45 minutes.
Yeah. Which is a good thing. I mean, it seemed like they trimmed a lot out of it. But I knew that going in. I heard it was like 90 minutes or something. It wasn't that short. It wasn't like Jonah Hex.
No, it wasn't like
Jonah Hex. That's so funny. That movie's like I think it's like 70 minutes long or so. I was just explaining for people. No, it's like 80 minutes.
Yeah,
but like the credits are like 10 minutes.
It felt like a movie.
The movie. It's basically it wouldn't even count as feature length if like the credits weren't
it's like
there.
Dumbo.
It's like barely feature length. Like you could like go take a dump and come back. It would be over.
You spend like more time at the grocery store sometimes.
Watching Jonah Hex.
Right.
That would be a good one for us to cover one day. Our review would be fucking longer than the movie.
Yeah, that's funny. I don't mind doing, just a general like, trying something a little short, more like a palate cleanser. That's kind of how I felt. I know not everybody loves like the first two Ant-Man movies, but that's kind of like what I liked about them. They're a little like, kind of like a, more like silly compared to like some of the heavier stuff. But this one, I don't know. It just like doesn't feel like super substantial.
The tie-ins weren't nearly as egregious with like the Marvel stuff too. Like you didn't have to know all this stuff beforehand about Ant-Man.
Yeah.
Like you could just go into it not knowing anything and you'd be fine. They kind of stand on their own, whereas this does not stand on its own at all. Yeah, you have to like know like 15 other movies or whatever. And it was like, why do I care about like these characters? Really, they're not that important.
Sure, and yeah, and for this year we both enjoyed Guardians 3, and yeah, it's a good movie, and it also benefits for the fact it feels more self-contained, kind of like I think Iron Man 3, that's another one, that kind of feels like more like its own installment rather than like, it's tied into so many other parts of the MCU.
Yeah, Guardians, they have good chemistry too. Yeah, the Guardians movies have so much going on, like self-contained on their own, that they don't have time for like other stuff. But here, like the characters just aren't interesting. It's like, what can we do to fill up time? Oh, let's have her marry a guy.
It's the guy from you gotta look up his name again. He's in Parasite. I guess he's a big K-pop star.
Yeah.
My friend at work said that.
But no, this one I wasn't pissed. I was more just like, meh.
Yeah.
It was meh.
It's
kind of it was still Marvel. Like I was still like, okay, at least I'm watching a Marvel movie. I still get that nostalgic feeling.
Yeah. It's not even the worst superhero movie of the year. Like it's better than Quantum.
No.
I don't know. Like DC's kind of
it's better than Quantum.
Yeah, DC's Oath of 3 basically, and then they still got Aquaman 2 in next month.
Did you prefer to Blue Beetle? It's like about the
Probably
same.
around the same. I might
better.
prefer it. Yeah, but not by a lot.
Yeah.
Blue Beetle I also thought was kind of meh, and it might be better than the Flash. I don't know.
Yeah, it probably is.
There was less like weird Uncanny Valley stuff with like Nicolas Cage as the Superman or whatever. Yeah,
that's true. Yeah, the effects were pretty good actually. They were more just like, it's not like anything inspired, but I mean the rendering or whatever, it looked realistic. It was more just like the cinematography was kind of bland. The way everything was shot and the color, they didn't really do anything special with it. Aside from like that one animated segment, I thought that was fun. Like, oh, this is cute, but that was basically it. Like the rest of the movie had no personality at all.
Yeah,
like it basically at all. Like the only moments of like personality were like Miss Marvel with her family, which is not a big part of the movie, but I'm like, that's like the only like glimpse of humanity throughout the entire movie. Because I really didn't relate to Captain Marvel at all or Captain Rambo.
The only glimpse of humanity in the cesspool.
Yeah, I think that was like intentional though. Like, okay, Miss Marvel, that's the most relatable character. She has the family. There's like, but ultimately, she just kind of sticks out compared to the other two.
Yeah, and I guess like another focus is Captain Marvel and Rambo. I guess Rambo's. I didn't know this prior to the movie, but Rambo's the daughter of the Lashana Lynch character. Lashana, is that you say? Lynch character from the first one, like her friend from the first one. She's like, oh, okay. Like I wouldn't have known that if they hadn't have told me, right? Because like the first one sent in the 90s, and then she was away, right? Like in Endgame, they call her back. Right, I guess. Something like that. But I'm glad you mentioned that because that brings us to the post-credit scene where she goes to like toward the end of the movie, Rambo goes in a portal to an alternate dimension or something. Yeah,
in the multiverse, and then she wakes up in a world where her mom is an X-Men. Yeah, I didn't realize that was Kelsey Grammer.
Yeah, he was doing the voice and. Yeah, it's CGI. Because before, whatever, The Last Stand and the other, he was in makeup, but it seemed like it was CGI this time. The makeup actually looked pretty cool. That was like one of the better parts of that movie.
Yeah, the CGI in this, it sucked. It looked like shit. I guess I think that's the plan now. There's just like X-Men, Fantastic Four, just do that, and I don't know why it's taken so long to get there. Like Mike and I were laughing. They spent so much time setting up the X-Men. Like, oh, in WandaVision, they're setting up mutants gonna, and then like in just like a post-credit scene of like a random Marvel movie, Beast just walks in. Like he just walks into the room and it's like, oh, I'm here now. Where the X-Men are part of it. It's like, all right, that was pretty boring ultimately.
Should you manage to escape this chamber, you must guide America Chavez.
What the hell are you saying?
Save the girl and get to the Book of Vishanti.
I totally forgot about the Patrick Stewart thing in Doctor Strange. I totally forgot about that.
Yeah, because
Yeah, they haven't been setting that up well. I thought they would. It just seems like they don't really know what they're doing.
and that character was like the mother character. She was Captain Marvel in that universe, right? Because it was like an alternate universe. Remember, it was like John Krasinski as Mr. Fantastic. I don't know if that ties in, or that might be like a whole different.
No, I don't think John Krasinski's even going to be Mr. Fantastic. Like, it was just for that one
They
movie.
going with Steven Seagal.
Yeah.
Maybe Pedro Pascal.
Adam Driver.
Adam Driver.
They have like the fan casting now. It's so dumb. I don't think it's going to be any of these people, but it's like, yeah, Paul Mescal, Adam Driver, Margot Robbie, and the guy from Blind Spotting. Or yeah.
Well, Margot Robbie's
that's
already
it.
Harley Quinn. I doubt she'd also
Yeah.
be like Sue Storm. Or,
Well, Chris Evans was already the Human Torch.
well, that's also Marvel, and those movies are fucking terrible. Yeah.
Well, so is Harley Quinn.
Yeah.
Well, except in the Suicide Squad, Harley Quinn is terrible in every appearance
Yeah,
she's made.
I'm not. Side note: I'm not the first one to point this out, but yeah, it's funny how both Human Torches ended up getting better roles in the MCU. Chris Evans and Michael B. Jordan.
Yeah, we mentioned that in our Fantastic Four
Yeah,
review.
well, yeah, it's worth noting again because the
Yeah,
next
sure.
Fantastic Four.
It's worth noting how much more interesting like other movies are than the Marvels, because we keep talking about other things.
Yeah,
But yeah, the Marvels, I would rate it a 5 out of 10 or a 2.5 star out of 5 stars.
yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, I could see people
middle.
enjoying it. Yeah, but I don't know. It's just a lot of people talk about superhero fatigue. I enjoyed the new Guardians. I enjoyed the new Spider-Verse. But I think as long as they're really good movies, like I don't have a problem. But
Yeah, this is not a really good
Yeah.
movie. Yeah, it's more like Blue Beetle or one of those.
Shazam, Fury
Not,
of the
like,
God.
awful,
Yeah, I
but,
don't,
yeah.
some people were even more negative than us. Like I read one review that said it was like the worst MCU movie. I wouldn't go that far, but yeah, it's not one of my favorites. Like it's better than Eternals and some of the other lesser.
Eternals, that's the worst.
Yeah, it didn't help that it's like that one's 40 minutes longer or however much longer. Yeah.
Okay, so what are some up and coming actors, directors, writers you really like? New people.
Let me think. I can even flip through like my list from this year.
Well, I really like Paul Mescal.
You mentioned him. Yeah, he was good in After
He's kind of like a
Sun.
new coming actor. I really like After Sun, and I didn't really like Foe, but he was good in it. Like he gave a good performance. And what else is he in? He's in some. He was in The Lost Daughter.
Yeah, which I also have to watch. There's some movie this year he's in that's supposed to be good. It's like All of Us Strangers, I think it's called.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I have a good example. I just saw Priscilla last week. Kaylee Spaney, she was really good in the movie. I'm looking forward to seeing more of her work.
Yeah, up and coming directors, Elizabeth Banks.
You don't mean that. I don't know if they're necessarily like brand new, but there were some movies this year that I really liked from like directors I'm less familiar with, like Past Lives. It's Celine Song. Yeah, I enjoyed that a lot. And Anatomy of a Fall, Justine Triet.
Yeah. Now, Sandra Hüller, is that her name in Anatomy of a Fall?
The actor, yeah.
Yeah, she's up and coming, I think, or at least like I haven't heard of her before, but this year I saw her in that and Zone of Interest, and she's great in both. So this was like her year.
And she's getting to be more well known. Io Debris, she's great on The Bear, and she had a couple big movies this
that's
year.
A great
with,
choice.
She was in the new Spider-Verse and Bottoms, and she's a mass chick, so that doesn't hurt either.
Mm-hmm. The directors of Talk to Me, I think they'll probably make some good stuff in the future.
What are their names
I think
again?
they're just doing Talk to Me sequels for now, but yeah, I think they're cool directors. I'm looking forward to their stuff like in the future. And no matter what they do.
Yeah,
I'm
excited for, and even we saw The Holdovers. I like Dominic Sessa. He was good in that. He's the the student.
Yeah, that's right. He was good in it. Yeah. Even the lunch lady in that, I've never seen her before.
Divine Joy Randolph. Yeah, she was good. Yeah, I knew her. She was in Only Murders in the Building, that show. So I'd seen her.
Oh,
And
okay.
she was in the new Puss in Boots. But yeah, like,
Oh, okay.
even if they're not like, they didn't come out like out of nowhere, like, they're, becoming more like high profile. And yeah, it's cool to see their work. Yeah, even like I don't know his name off the top of my head, like the kid in Anatomy of a Fall. He was good, the son.
Yeah. The dog was good in Anatomy of a Fall.
Yeah.
He's a good dog actor. Good boy.
Good, yeah.
Get to pretend. Well, I won't spoil it. But yeah, he was a good boy. Good boy.
And I
we can do one more.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. No,
Yeah, I
no,
was
say what you were saying.
also from this year. I liked There God It's Me, Margaret, and yeah, Abby Ryder Fortson. Right, she was in also in the first two Ant-Man movies as the daughter. Yeah, she's good.
Yeah, you just mentioned, that's funny. They recast Ant-Man's daughter, Catherine Newton. We didn't mention that in our Marvel's review, but yeah, that was so weird. I guess because they wanted to do that Young Avengers movie, so they like recast her as a bigger actress, maybe. But that might be why. I don't really understand the logic to it.
Well, she played, what's the character? I can't remember.
Cassie.
Cassie. She obviously there was the time jump, and so like it was another actor in Endgame. I don't remember her name off the top of my head. But then they replaced her with Catherine Newton. Yeah.
It was just weird they recast her because they're like, we're gonna do Young Avengers, get a bigger name, I guess.
Yeah, it's like I don't like. I
don't get the logic really.
What's the logic?
Shit show. What logic? What's the logic? All right, I'm gonna do one more question. One more question here, everybody. This is from Tibor Jiljic on Threads. Making a note of Threads. What's your opinion on the fan base some films seem to create that almost make a toxic culture out of it? For instance, Wolf of Wall Street and American Psycho Bros, etc. Do you think it devalues the essence of these sorts of films? Does it fester a negative, toxic view of films that genuinely seek to criticize the individuals they're portraying? But yeah, that's funny. There's like some movies, like American Psycho, people like take Patrick Bateman as like, their role model, but that movie, it's a satire. He's a murderer.
The title's American Psycho.
Yeah, you're not supposed to look up to him, but yeah, people do, and they look up to like, there is a culture of that, like the movie Joker. I talk about like that movie generated these crazy people who act like the Joker and don't see that it's like do you not recognize the point of the movie? Really? Yeah, right. It's very toxic fan base, and obviously I hate that shit, and it devalues the movie. Well, I don't know if it devalues the movie, but it does a disservice to the movie, to the people who like the movie, and I hate toxic fan bases in general. Like toxic fan bases do a disservice to like Star Wars and shit like that.
Like people feel that certain fans feel that just because they dislike a certain movie or series of movies within the franchise, it gives them an excuse to say vile things. Would obviously that's not right at all. And it's fascinating in a way, like how movies and show like they they kind of have a life of their own. People might like take certain connotations from a piece of work that might be like imagined on their part, or like maybe they're missing the irony because we discovered The Killer, and I kind of glanced at David Fincher's reflected a bit on the legacy of Fight Club, maybe people like
Fight Club's a good example.
Yeah, certain fans identify with too much with the Tyler Durden character, but like it's a fantasy in the way, like because the movie acknowledges that he's not real, and he embodies toxic traits, and it's definitely there can be an imbalance of people, certain viewers identify with a character who's meant to be despicable. It's evident with certain shows like The Sopranos or Breaking Bad or Mad Men. These characters are very fucked up, flawed people, and they because sometimes it kind of can bring out like misogyny in them if they lash out at the women characters who fight back against the more domineering protagonists. Yeah, sometimes people, kind of take certain things at face value. Like, I remember in class, like we discussed The Graduate, and people like kind of annoyed with the Benjamin character. They feel he's creepy, which I always kind of felt that was the point. I think he's meant to be kind of odd, and yeah, I think it's important to determine whether like how much like irony or social commentary is like meant to be there with just because the main characters, the one we focus on and maybe meant to empathize with. That doesn't mean they're necessarily good people.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, yeah, the killer. It's about like a killer, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just because someone's the main character of a movie doesn't mean they're like have to be a good guy, like 100%. They're usually more interesting when they're complex, because that's how people are. People are complex, good and bad in them. And,
yeah, that's kind of like the brilliance of like Clockwork Orange or Taxi Driver. Like they do.
Yeah.
They kind of put you in the headset of a sociopath. Especially with something like Clockwork Orange, like it helps that Alex, he's as horrible as he is, he's a rapist, murderer. He's charming and charismatic, and also like the other people, a lot of the people he interacts with are very like off-putting and despicable. So it makes us like sympathize with him more because he's surrounded by weirdos.
Yeah, I'm sure when those movies came out, there were people who acted like them at the time.
Right. There was an issue. Yeah, I guess people were inspired to be violent like the Droogs. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So there you go. Okay, I think that's good. Would you say? Wouldn't you say, old chap? Just doing
very well, brother.
Very well. All right. Thanks for watching. See ya.